All right. I think it's about time to get the show started. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Dead Feature Rant. I am your host, Legendary Neurotoxin, coming at you as I am every single week. On my screen left is Daddio, and on my screen right is Dygz. Now, these are both two awesome people who have experience playing games made by SOE. Both awesome people in the Landmark community, and also awesome, very involved people here with the H1Z1 community. So, got them both on here. Dygz has been on shows in the past. Dygz, have you been on a Dead Feature Rant in the past? I can't
I have
recall.
not been on Dead Feature Rant
Okay,
yet.
so this is your first Dead Feature Rant here, and same with Daddio here. So anybody who only watches Dead Feature Rant, welcome, welcome. This is a couple of new faces for you here, and I'm gonna let them both kind of give their own introductions of what they're all about before we really get started with the content. Which, by the way, bows and corn, but as it says in the ticker down below, we're talking about like the farming and the fermentation and that sort of discussion that was going on. Not, corn. We're not talking about the specifics of corn and the politics behind it. That's none of that. And of course, bows and prone and all the other combat related stuff, and Clegg's inability to survive, and the just all the fun stuff we got to see from the stream earlier, and how that kind of collaborates with all of the information that we've seen up to this point. So that being said, Dygz, I'm gonna have you start off. Now you've got quite a background with games and a bit of in studio experience yourself. Well, quite a bit actually. You've so why don't you talk about that a little bit and kind of your background with MMOs and zombie games and all that sort of fun stuff.
Ooh, I used to work for Activision back in the day. MechWarrior 2 was my first, one of the first games. Spycraft, I think, was the first game I worked on for Activision. I've worked on 4 games for Dave Georgeson, Battlezone and Heavy Gear, and I got into MMOs with Jens Anderson, who's the director of DCUO. He came in one night and was like, "Dygz, you have to be playing EverQuest. You gotta play this game." And I did. I loved it because I was a big D&D fan back in the day. And the cool thing or weird thing is, several years later, well, one of the first games I played with all the guys, all the testers, was Warcraft 2. And then EverQuest 2 was coming out, and I was really excited about that because I liked the lore. I wasn't that into the Warcraft 2 lore, but everybody else at Activision was interested in Warcraft. So they were all waiting for World of Warcraft to come out. I was the only one interested in EverQuest 2. They finally roped me into playing World of Warcraft just so that we could, form a group up together. Um, and I got hooked on World of Warcraft. And so, yeah, now World of Warcraft. I mean, I've been waiting for 2.0 for Warcraft, and I was saying just last year around this time, they can't do anything else with World of Warcraft. They're going to have to do, even just an expansion isn't going to hook me. They're going to have to do something, I don't know, some new iteration that's way better than EverQuest 2. I played Neverwinter. Didn't like that. That didn't hook me because it's still the same old theme park. And then I happened to see the SOE Live YouTubes for EverQuest Next, and that just really, blew my mind with where they're going. I think that's exactly what I was expecting World of Warcraft to have to go to in order to captivate people these days. Now, I have not been thinking that I would do or play H1Z1 at first because I'm not a PvP person, but the story is what grabbed me. When they did Survivor
Survivor
Radio,
Radio, yeah.
I mean, that just hooked me. So now I'm looking for ways to not worry so much about being killed constantly. And I think I have some ideas behind that. But and they'll have different server sets, so maybe I'll find a really good server set that I really like. But I have a feeling people like you and Tanlin from Evercast Show are gonna be on servers that are a little bit, more competitive than I'm used to, and I'll probably want to be on those servers just for the community.
It should be pretty interesting. I honestly don't know what kind of servers, and I really can't say ahead of time because not really being sure what kind of rule sets there's going to be. I could see myself just kind of jumping from server to server to server. Of course, if my antics and my trolling is really the goal in H1Z1, then I don't know how long I'm really going to stick on one server before they all know my name and I'm kill on sight. So, and being a streamer doing that too, it'll be that much quicker.
So, but it's different characters. You can't have. It's only one character per server, so you can play around there.
Awesome. Cody Braid, hey. RJ Denchi, Cody, Zeit, Matt, Mr. Pound Sign. Everybody that's coming through here, thank you very much. I'm sure there's going to be much more people, and I'll say names here in a little bit. But I want to keep on going with the introductions. Now, speaking of live streamers, Daddio, you're also a live streamer. So why don't you kind of talk about your kind of experience and background with MMOs and the survival games and that sort of stuff?
Okay. I started playing online with MechWarrior 2, and it's funny that Dygz has have a hand in that. And we're meeting tonight because me and some of the guys at work used to get together after work, meet up online, and just blow each other away repeatedly on multiplayer battles. And then that was God, how many years ago? I don't even want to remember how long ago. But
almost
worked
20,
our way
not
through.
quite 20.
Yeah.
My first MMO, I would have to say, was WoW, and got burned out on WoW. Too much of a grind, not enough fun, and unless you had a good community, which it really didn't have, the game was not enjoyable for a long time. I started streaming with DCUO. I got involved with Sony Online through Free Realms.
Gotcha.
They brought that in. I started doing some funny videos for Free Realms, music videos, parodies, and all that stuff.
The late Free Realms.
For the late Free Realms. I did the tribute to Michael Jackson, which I think
Nice.
caught Smed's eye and got me involved with the community council for SOE. So
Very cool.
went out to SOE Live for the first time last year. Got to meet a bunch of wonderful people and got introduced to Jens Anderson and stuff through DCUO. Really great guy. Him and Meps are a great team. I still host tournaments once a month in DCUO with them on Friday Night Legends.
Nice.
And
nice.
I used to stream a lot of DCUO Legends matches. Unfortunately, Landmark's been taking a lot of my time lately because I was looking for the next big, great MMO. SOE Live showed us EverQuest Next, and they were giving us the tools called Landmark. And I was really expecting to see more EverQuest Next in Landmark.
Well,
It was much more than that.
to be fair,
because-
it was EverQuest Next Landmark.
It was. And I was expecting to see more mythical MMO stuff, not sci-fi builds, not the modern builds. And I can understand why they took EverQuest off, because there was a lot of EverQuest followers saying this ain't EverQuest because of the modern builds, because of the sci-fi builds. But it is the tools that are helping to build EverQuest Next with.
Yeah.
So we're getting a very early preview of what's down the road and what's to come.
Absolutely.
I've been streaming it daily for months now. I started in day one in alpha and sticking with it.
That's
So,
awesome.
great game.
That's
Great
a very awesome thing to have been keeping up on for sure. And that's one of the things I've really been enjoying is how the streams over the course of the lifetime of the game basically are going to serve as our record, our history of the development of the game, and kind of the testament to SOE, how they're able to take what we got to see at the very beginning, as soon as the NDA dropped, and get it to where it's at in the amount of time, and how responsive they've been with the community the entire time. So that's something, just as much with Landmark, I'm excited with H1Z1 and, whatever game's coming next too.
Yeah, I'm hoping with H1Z1 they have the open transparency, drop that NDA right away, and let us start streaming it and start building that loyalty to SOE games once again. SOE's been up and down with their games over the past few years. And right now, I feel that they've been building their reputation back up, but it's been an uphill battle for them. So everybody's looking for them to take a few steps back and mess something up. And it's like, you know what? They just took 5 steps forward and gave us something great. Of course, they're going to slide back every now and then.
You see, and that's the weird thing is I don't know why SOE would ever be considered an underdog, because if we look at the history, they established themselves with Tenaris. Okay, that was, I wouldn't say it was groundbreaking, but it was pretty awesome for its time. But, EverQuest is the one that really established the main paradigm for the theme park MMO. It really did. It took the lineage of text-based adventures and all sorts of, graphical adventure games and everything, and D&D, and all that existed before, and put it into one package, albeit the UI made it a little bit weird, and the graphics weren't, obviously as pretty as we have today, but for its time, it was revolutionary, and it was big time, and it's the thing everyone wanted to be, and everyone wanted to beat. Now, they also came along with their sequel to Tenaris, oddly enough, PlanetSide 1, and that, once again, broke all the boundaries. MMO first-person shooter, the only other game I'd ever played that tried to call itself an MMO FPS was terrible. It was horrible. I tried playing it twice, and both times I uninstalled within an hour. So it was that bad. So
and that's the thing a lot of people are doing. If they don't like something within the first hour or two, they're uninstalling and never going back to it. At least with this, we see people that have left are slowly coming back to test the waters again. And I think this time Sony's keeping them with what they got. So
yeah, well,
H1Z1 is going to be a prime example of that. If you look at the stream records of viewers for the H1Z1 streams,
crazy.
It was phenomenal.
Yeah,
it's crazy. It's like 4,000, in a few minutes. That's just.
I think the highest stream, their first stream, I think I saw 32,000 viewers.
Yeah.
It's H1Z1.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I've never seen numbers like that unless you're, on the main page. Daily. Yeah. It's like, wow.
Yeah, so they're definitely doing. I feel like I've seen a stream go as far as 10K in the past month or so, but even then, they have been doing such a great job with it. And plus, E3 was able to get so much hype for it, so it's really awesome. Everybody's waiting for early access. We have so many people that are playing so many survival games, zombie survival games, survival sandbox games, sandbox MMOs in general. It hits so many different demographics, and it's going to be doing it so well because and this is no knock against indie companies, because I love indies and I've done the indie thing myself for a little while, but the polish and power that SOE is able to put into it. They've got their proprietary Forgelight engine. They're a AAA studio with AAA money and AAA, people working there. It's not just, some ho-hum crap shack or, some really awesome programmer with a really awesome idea that wasn't fully able to implement it. This is a studio that's really guaranteed, and they're committed, dedicated to making the very best one of these kind of games that exist out there. And they're already showing so much promise beyond, above and beyond what a lot of people would already have been expecting from the game. And this is just, tip of the iceberg at this point. It's got a long way to go. Long way to go. All right.
Well, we didn't hear what grabbed Daddio over to H1Z1.
Good question.
The H1Z1, they when they announced you're going to have the survivability, you're going to be killed, okay? But it's going to be fun being killed because you can get back up, try to regather your belongings, and take vengeance either on the players that killed you or just kill and avoid more zombies. I'm a big fan of Walking Dead. I played the Walking Dead video game that they had, which was like a storybook mode. You have your choices of A through Z to pick from what actions you're going to do next. But it didn't give me the sense of being in the game. Just playing along with the game like a storyboard. H1Z1, I'm going to be able to build a shelter, defend the shelter, hide in the shelter at nighttime, and try to avoid death like there's no tomorrow. You have to stay alive. You got to keep going. I I don't know if there's going to be a sleep function in the game, where if you build your shelter and you're sleeping, or do you have to stay awake? Is there, if you're sleeping, will a player find you and kill you?
Okay,
Yeah.
so now this is getting into territory that had been discussed, I believe, last week, and it's a very interesting subject. I don't know when we're going to have the definitive answer on the day-night cycle being, what the timing is, and that could be a server rule set, because it had been talked about on one hand, having it based on real-world 24 hours means you actually have, realistic day-night. You actually have enough time during the day to do all this stuff, so that way your character can be hopefully safe during the night. Versus some folks might prefer something where it's on a an hourly schedule that doesn't necessarily overlap at a regular interval, like every 7 hours, for example, so that way they can log in at 6 p.m. every day and know that they're going to be seeing a different time of day. So it's an interesting thing, because then if it's only a 6-hour day or an 8-hour day before the whole day-night cycle is cycled through, does that mean we should kind of almost feel like the game itself is in accelerated time? That we're almost like moving at 3 times normal speed or something like that? Because that's kind of what it'll feel like.
What time zone would they play in? Pacific, Eastern?
Depends
European?
on the server location, I would imagine.
Because I would feeling if you work days and you playtime was like say 9 to 11 o'clock at night, if they're doing that, you're going to be perpetually in a nighttime phase of that server,
Yeah.
which would really suck for people. They got to experience the game through the day-night cycle.
Yeah, that's true.
I think having a server with the real-time 24-hour rule set would be okay. Some people might like that, so if it's an option. But yeah, I think tons of people would not want to be stuck at always playing a zombie game at night. That's true horror.
Or it could be really awesome. Some folks, that's their thing. It's like, all right, I get to go sneak around and hide to people in the back of the head and take their stuff. Yeah, so that should be a lot of fun. Okay, so let's talk about combat first, and bows. Bows was the big thing. They had the live stream earlier. I didn't get a chance to watch it live, but I did get to watch the rebroadcast, or the recording of it. So that was a lot of fun. They accidentally showed prone. They talked about everyone wants flaming arrows. It's just not a priority yet. So I almost feel like they put that one out there just to help appease everybody that wants flaming arrows. It's like, look, we want it too. It's on the list. Just chill.
Yeah, they said they could do poisoned arrows as well. So there's some options they can do, but first they just have to get, the basic stuff working.
Yeah.
Well, they already said torches will affect the zombies.
Well,
So you're going to have flaming zombies either with a torch or a flaming arrow. So flaming arrows come down the road a bit.
Yeah.
so I have a question leading into combat that came from Twitter. They asked if you see a campfire, do you go to the campfire? What do you do? Do you expect there might be combat? What happens if you see a campfire? And how do you think that will lead into combat?
Go to a campfire itself is an interesting kind of thing to say, because some people might just walk in a straight line to it, not really look around too much. Other people might be, well, what kind of cover can I use? How can I best obscure my approach path so people can't see me? Or is my idea to walk up with the torch in hand so they know I'm not a zombie and don't just shoot my silhouette? So that's a very good question, and that almost makes me think of if someone was trying to design an AI that plays the game, how you would approach that situation. If you're creating an AI that you're trying to have survive, you would try to think about it in terms of, is this a plus expected value or a negative expected value exchange? Am I gonna generally come out better for visiting the campfire and checking it out, or am I generally going to turn out worse? And that's one of those things we're not going to know until we play for a while and see
And it'll probably be different server by server.
Server by server, group by group,
Yeah.
campfire by campfire. It's
Exactly.
Yeah.
By the campfire. Whoever owns it, they're going to hijack you, and
Yeah.
stay in the shadows and wait for you to come to it, or
Yep.
invite you with open arms.
It's like a procedural roguelike, except instead of it being an AI that's working based on a seed and certain interactions, it's players, and they're unpredictable. They can do whatever. They can just drop their stuff, drop an assault rifle in front of you and a bunch of ammo, and run and be like, "All right, you can't catch me." They might do that. Maybe they're just trying to kill off their character and create a big old heat map in the area. Or create a video of them being chased by a maniac with an assault rifle. Could be interesting. I'm sure people will do weird things for weird reasons. And so, some people might just be, mashing through their inventory, not understanding what does what, still being new to the game. First time in, they found, somebody's backpack with, full armament, body armor, and everything. But when they go to gank somebody, they don't, they're fumbling around trying to equip stuff. They drop their equipment, they start making noise, they light their torch, they eat some food by accident, they delete some food by accident, which I don't know how you can delete items from the world, but you totally can. So, yeah. So, with now combat with bows is something that should be kind of interesting, because they're different than firearms in a huge way. They're easy to assemble. You don't need a lot of fancy stuff to make one. You can make the bows in tons of different ways. Anything, stretchy and flexible and some sort of piece of wood, that's plus or minus all it takes right now. So it's something that you can get into a bow really quickly and just chop down a tree, and you got a bunch of arrows, and hopefully you'll get more than one arrow per log in the future, because it doesn't seem like a very good exchange, but they're working on that.
The cool thing is that they did chop down a tree and take off your shirt.
Yeah.
Can't get any more easy than that.
That sounds like a terrible line, like an I don't know, in like an action movie or something. Chop down the tree and take off your shirt. What? I said chop down the tree and take off your shirt. Do what I say.
Take off your shirt if you want to live.
Yeah, there you go. Well said.
But and they were also saying with the arrows, if people saw the stream today, you couldn't recover them yet, but you should be able to recover them in the future. So if you're going to be having a small stockpile of arrows, I hope they give us something like a quiver for them, or a separate inventory.
Some way to access them.
Yeah.
As soon as you said quiver, I don't know why, I had the idea in my head of somebody with like a big 18 by 24 piece of paper that they just origami into something that can hold arrows and put on their back. And, cardboard and duct tape, you can make a lot of stuff with it, a lot of simple functional stuff. So that's one of those things I'm really wondering, is duct tape going to be the commodity for people doing mods? It could be anything from attaching something to an arrow you're about to fire, to making your salvaged car parts armor out of the tires and metal plates and stuff like that, to wasn't there a floating boat that Mythbusters guys were able to make with tape? So it seems like, yeah, bullets, that's a good currency. Fuel, that's a good currency. But tape, that's the gold. That's the stuff right there. You find a truck full of tape, you are set. You just, trade that thing for fuel every now and then, you've got the commodity in the game.
I think the only two items you'll need to survive the apocalypse, one is duct tape, and the other is Twinkies.
Twinkies.
Good thing they started making them again.
Yes, sir.
Well, they're gonna survive, but at the same time, like, I don't know. Maybe you use Twinkies as like a if somebody's wounded, that help to like a bandage or something, or like a sponge or something. I'm not sure necessarily how, you think about the idea of eating Twinkies like once or twice as a survival ration. Okay, that's not so bad. You think about eating those as a regular meal for like a year, and it's like, man, there's so much like every health consideration that can come from a poor diet. You've just got it. Like,
But they last forever.
But they last forever. That's true. Shove it in a wound to stop the bleeding. Yeah, exactly, Countess.
I think they even made duct tape armor, didn't they? Tape in the duct tape around your arm so a zombie couldn't bite you in one of the Walking Deads or something.
I don't know. I mean, I guess if you're interspersing bits of metal and rocks and stuff in between, then yeah, you could probably make some sort of a makeshift armor with tape. Sure. I mean, especially if mostly what you're trying to do is fend off close combat blows, because they're not, zombies aren't firing rifles at you. They're not charging at you with a spear, and if they are, it's because they've been impaled with one, and somehow they're still able to charge at you, which would be interesting. Find zombies that can survive being impaled, impale them from behind, and then run them at people. Zombie cavalry.
Yeah, I mean, off the topic of bows, I didn't really understand the concept of spear. Like, how do you retrieve it? Will you be able to? Is that the plan? You throw it, retrieve it, or do you have to make a new one? I'm not sure how that spear part works, but
yeah, I mean, spears also. There's a broad range of what counts as a spear. Anything from the very thin, flexible spears you would see more in traditional Eastern martial arts to, this big, thick, heavy lance that you basically have to be on horseback to actually use it. That's also a spear of sorts. I mean, it's gonna be really unwieldy to be using it on foot.
no,
But yeah,
a jeep for that. That's what a jeep is.
Oh my goodness! Yes, yes,
And
yes,
duct tape
yes.
to the side.
Yes. Must have. Please, please. We must all campaign for the Renaissance Fair or Medieval Times expansion zone.
Well, you probably just came up with the first thing they'll give away to the players via codes: duct tape.
No, that's going to be too powerful of an item to give away. That's got to be. It would have to be something that, sure, it's common in the world, but it's rare to find one that actually lasts for more than 5 seconds once the player finds it. It's like, oh, duct tape, I can finally fix, or I can finally make, or I can finally trade for whatever it is that I need. It's not like duct tape, I'm going to squat on this and use it as currency. The reason why it's gold is because it's being used. It's should be quite interesting. Best item in the zombie game is a 10-foot pike or 15-foot pike. Yeah, I don't know. I think some sort of helicopter blade attached to a bicycle motor, and you just have enough of those to create a perimeter, and it's just stamina at that point.
What did I see? I think. So did you guys know? Through the wormhole last night had the topic was zombie virus and whether humans could survive or whether it would be possible to have a zombie apocalypse. And they did a cartoon version of someone killing a bunch of zombies with the lawnmower. They had the lawnmower lifted up and they were just holding the bottom of it like it over people's heads. So yeah, check out Through the Wormhole. That was a good connection last night.
That's funny. I think getting real scientific. I think Neil deGrasse Tyson already broke down why it's not possible. But yeah, no, I'll definitely have to check that out, because any sort of suggestions for techniques for zombie violence and massacring, it's a good thing.
Yeah, I think the lawnmower would be a great idea, but it'd be a bit heavy to wield around it. Just a bit.
Yeah.
Now, the chainsaws, I'm all for, and I hope they bring the chainsaws into H1Z1.
Well,
of course, you're going to need gasoline for the
well,
chainsaw.
yeah. I mean, it's basically the assault rifle of melee weapons. It's going to be loud. It's going to be really powerful, and it's got a finite resource to keep it going. Diggs, what were you going to say?
No. I was thinking just that. You need fuel, and sounds good. I hadn't thought about the sound of it though. That the sound would be drawing some heat. So
Yeah, and plus the thermal is the other thing. Just like an assault rifle, the barrel's hot after you fire it. A chainsaw is going to be hot too. You're going to be able, anything that detects thermal is going to be able to spot that from a distance. Bicycle powered chainsaw, yeah, sure. That sounds like a 2-man operation.
The old hand-powered dentist drill, you crank it.
Oh yeah, there you go. Yeah. Yeah, all that sort of stuff. They didn't announce an early access date. I mean, people kept saying, "Oh, June 30th," and I think Smedley said, "No, you guys are morons." I mean, I don't mean that to call you morons, but you guys, no. He didn't call us morons, but he's definitely he's gotten to the point where it's, look, we'll tell you, you don't have to ask.
Exactly. Their announcement will probably come this year at SOE Live. What is it, August 17th? So you got a month and a half, close to 2 months. And then all the information will be coming out daily about it after that. So.
Yep. I mean, early access could come before then. It could come after then. Not really sure. Unless you're actually working on the project, you really don't know. And even if you're working on the project, you still might not know.
6 weeks is fine, though. I don't have a problem waiting until SOE Live to learn more about H1Z1. I mean,
yeah.
Earlier, I think everybody would be happy, but come on.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, the other thing is they seem like SOE's been inviting people over every now and then. So if they really want more people to have hands-on with H1Z1, they can do another open house or just have people come by, every week or whatever. Just various fans and stuff they know, like, hey, come through and check it out and get fresh look at the game. Because at this point, I'm sure while everything is under NDA, they've been so open about it, and the fact that they actually had it at E3 that someone can come up, play it as long as they want, well, plus or minus other people coming for official interviews, but I didn't actually find any of those when I came through. And just how open it was for everyone to be able to play the game. They really were able to reveal a lot then, and they're really not afraid to continue showing the progress of things. It's just not ready for them to even work on the fine tuning of deploying it and having everybody playing it. All the stuff, keeping it to the internal servers and stuff, and keeping it to just SOE only distribution. That's one thing that's just a lot easier to deal with than having to deal with the SOE versions and the public versions.
Well, and I think one of the things that we've learned with Landmark is that the people playing it will always have expectations that they aren't ready to meet. We've got the whole thing going in the Landmark. Is it happening in live feature? It's happening in live feature rant where Tenma keeps saying, we should have combat already. We should have combat already. And I can just see the same thing, like the guys were saying. Why don't we have prone? Why don't we have whatever? Instead of just, hey, it's so cool to be in so early, and just be in as things are coming in. Things are coming in. I mean, that's the coolest thing about Landmark is not all the stuff that's not there, but to be there in the beginning and watch all the stuff come in.
Well, you look at Landmark and the players that have found the things that the developers have not. With the microvoxels, megavoxels, so on. I think with H1Z1, once the players get in there, they're going to find ways of avoiding death for longer than 24 hours. They're going to find ways to make groups successful, and they're going to find ways to avoid the mass ganking that's going to happen. Because, as you know, you're probably going to be one of the ones, 2 or 3 other players. All right, there's a new player. Let's get them. And just bum rush them. There's going to be groups out there looking nothing but for the PvP aspect. Myself, I'm going to be there for the zombies. If I die by PvP, hey, it's going to happen, so I'll accept it. But will I be trying to avoid it like the plague? Yes, I will. Because I don't want to give you my stuff.
Right.
You're looking to take my stuff. I don't want to give it to you. And that's where it comes down to. How long can I survive in the game? say there's the new game, The Forest, that's out there.
Yeah.
It's a totally survival game. How long can you survive? There's a couple other PlayStation games. It's all about how long you can survive without dying. And that's how I feel I'm going to go into H1Z1. When I start streaming it, okay, guys, how long before I die? You know?
Yeah,
Are
Clegg
you gonna
can't
cheer
even
me
last
on?
15 minutes. So.
Exactly. Exactly.
And he knows the map.
So it's either going to be a new drinking game on Steam for my followers. Every time I die, they take a shot, or they're just going to sit there and have fun with me and laugh about it. And that's all we can
Glad
do.
I'm not your liver.
Oh, I don't. Not me.
Okay.
Not me. I said the followers.
Yeah.
Okay.
Of course, that could be something to give them a reason to find you and fend people off from you.
Yes. Yes. Hopefully, followers, I'll be in there. You know, come surround me. Put yourselves around me. We'll take out them instead of them taking out us.
Yeah. Exactly.
Well, I'm also interested in the bases, building a base, and hopefully I'll be doing that with Neuro. But how do we get the base? How do we protect the base for long periods of time? How do you protect the base when you're not online? That's the other thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's one of the parts that is still, I guess, not necessarily that it's not been addressed, but I don't know how they're going to resolve it in such a way that we'll be able to log off and log back in a house with walls in a bed that we, logged off in, rather than, oh yeah, someone just kind of backed a Jeep through your door and smashed that in, and then they just pretty much tore down all your walls and salvaged everything, and so you log in, you have what you had on you when you logged out, and that's it.
Wasn't there a scene in the one video they released of like a mansion type of thing being reinforced and a small group of survivors in like this huge mansion?
Yeah, but they've already said, like, if a place is reinforced, that's kind of an invitation to people saying, hey, there's someone in there and there's stuff in there. So it's kind of a tricky situation with that. How much can you put up traps and board everything up and put up defenses before enough players with enough resources can outsmart their way through and get to it?
And that's why I'm going to survive as long as I can until they kill me and then start all over.
Yep. Yeah. So let's talk about bows a little bit more here. So we saw the mechanics in action. We saw it takes 1 to wound, 2 to kill, on deer at least, on a healthy deer. That zombie seemed to take 1 headshot and go straight down. And yeah, JT, exactly. I believe we had talked about that on previous episodes. Having people at different places in the world, basically as your backup when you're asleep, and likewise, some of your people go volunteer and defend on their server while they're asleep. That's larger groups I see doing that sort of thing. That'd be tough for a smaller group to coordinate. That doesn't mean it isn't possible, though. But also keep in mind, 64 square kilometers is a large space to be moving at, slow speeds. So, anyway, so not only are the arrows, they're powerful, but they're not an instant kill. And we didn't see necessarily how powerful they are on players, but I'm sure they're pretty sizable if you actually get hit with one. It's an arrow. I mean, even if it's a crude bow and it's a crude arrow, they're simple. They're effective enough to take down a deer in 2 shots. So that's pretty interesting. Now they showed it's got a really heavy arc on those arrow shots. Clegg missed his first couple of shots there because he didn't aim up quite enough, and that was actually my same experience with the I guess it was an AR-15 at the E3 thing, because I was trying to shoot some zombie way in the distance, and unfortunately I couldn't quite figure out how high and how far to lead to specifically hit him way far away. But that arc is definitely going to be the thing that limits bows. You're only going to be able to fire them reliably at a certain range before you're looking up so far that you can't actually see the target on your screen anymore, which, the same thing with grenade launchers and PlanetSide, basically. So there will be basically a physics-based limit to the range on arrows, plus or minus if it catches the wind, if it just kind of fizzles out at a certain distance and just starts kind of spiraling and loses effectiveness. 50 yards, that's probably about right.
Now, the one thing I did see when the zombie took the arrow to the knee, it didn't slow him down at all.
No,
I was hoping it would have at least, take his kneecap out so he's limping a little bit. Because, if you take out a player in the same fashion.
well, they're going to have
gonna
those.
hurt.
They're going to have those systems in. They've talked about it in the past. It's a plan. It's not. It's not a maybe. It's a we're getting to it sort of thing. They want, that's part of their the combo and combat system. Not only do you score more hits if you continue making successful melee hits, but melee or ranged, the more you hit an area, the more you inflict damage on that area and can render it unusable. So I don't know. I'm kind of thinking back to that fist fight we saw with Clegg and Shank. And I wonder if they had the full damage system in, would it have been beneficial to go down for like a groin shot or a shot to the knees or something? You might get hit in the head a couple times in the process, but if you can slow them down, that mobility seems like it's a lot more key to the timing. So, that's the sort of thing I'm really interested to see in kind of the future of that hit location system. But yeah,
And it was like a fist-to-fist combat. There was
Yeah.
no kicking. There was no kneeing. It was just plain-out boxing type of style.
Right.
I hope they introduce kicking or something so you can, like, if you have to knee somebody, you knee them.
Oh, yeah.
It's like everything's fair in war, man.
knees and elbows are way more powerful than punches and kicks.
They're gonna have emote packs, but I guess that's pay to win if you're adding in kicks and stuff.
Now that's one of those things, getting back to some of my previous rants about why the difference for characters, why their background should matter. Because if I've been, if I had a background in martial arts, or I was a bully and I used to kick in doors of people I didn't like or whatever, for me to have a sturdy front kick that I rely on for my push rather than that left-handed push mechanic that we have, that would make a lot more sense, because that's what the character's used to. It's going to have different range considerations, different timing considerations. If you hit with it, if you miss with it, potentially damage considerations, how far it pushes them back, how much stamina it takes up if you use it once and use it repeatedly. If you can use that to substitute for something else, like instead of chopping down a barricade with an axe, maybe you can just kick it down. So that's definitely, that's one example of the sort of variation that I'm sure players are going to want. But if we all come in as James Bond MacGyver with one limited skill set, then we're only going to be doing jabs, crosses, and pushes with our bare hands. Kicking in chivalry, medieval warfare, it's very good. Yeah, I mean, kicking has a lot of functionality. I actually kind of think about the Soul Calibur series a little bit. You're not just using the kicks as damage, but it's also because it's a low targeting area, and as Bruce Lee said, you hit where the best ranges make sense. Punch him in the head, kick him in the legs. That's why Bruce Lee didn't kick people in the head too much, because he didn't really need to. He could punch him pretty damn hard. Plus, he could sidekick open a heavy bag, so I'm sure he ruptured all sorts of stuff when he actually made contact with someone. James Bond, what do I have against James Bond MacGyver? He can't kick.
So, they mentioned the poison arrow. Did you see, somebody asked, it was towards the end, you might have missed it.
No, I caught that. That was good.
No, somebody asked if when you retrieve the arrow from a zombie, if it would be infected. And
Yeah, I caught that part.
Just lit up.
Yeah, that. I talked about that in the past. Different versions of the item: an infected arrow, an arrow with an oil-soaked rag on it, or a standard torch uses a synthetic oil versus the meat torch is when you have to use an animal fat to make it Meat torch is gonna attract things from further away. Daddio, what's I haven't heard from you a little bit in here. What are your kind of thoughts on the
Well, I like how with the bows and the arrows, I like how you can use any type of fabric. The shirt, as you were saying, if he comes across, I was wondering when he found that tarp, he threw it away, but I was wondering if he could have tore the piece off the tarp and used that as a bowstring or something like that instead of a cloth. The arrows, I think they said right now you're only getting one per tree, so you're gonna have to cut down quite a few trees, and you can only carry up to, what was it, 4 arrows right now?
something like that?
If they're going to be poisoned, they're going to be disposable anyway. If I'm killing a zombie, yeah, I'd pull them back to reuse them against other zombies. But just out of my personal history, if I'm hunting with a bow, it's, I'm only going after a deer. Once it hits a tree, the arrow's pretty much shot as
Yeah.
it is because the tip's busted, or you have to replace the tips or get it out of the dirt and all that.
Yeah, and the shaft also. So you're a bow hunter then in real life.
I've hunted with a bow.
Okay. Okay. Do you do just hunting in general, or is it like something you used to do a little bit here and there?
Long ago.
Long ago.
Not anything in the past 10 years or so, but I'd rather have a rifle. Give me a high-powered rifle to take out a buck rather than a bow and arrow. But there are some great archery hunters that I know of. They'll sit up there, their deer stands, and they'll silently wait for the deer to come by, and they'll take them out. I'm sure you've seen some of the hunting shows on TV where these guys are just stalking the deer or waiting for them to come around where they've been baiting and all that stuff. And
Yeah.
one shot, the deer is going down. And it's like, that's something I could probably do after 5 years of experience. But just going
Yeah.
out a few times with my buddies, nah. I leave it to the pros for that.
Yeah.
Crossbow, I'd probably be better with a crossbow
There you go.
because much more like a rifle.
Yeah.
A lot more strength within the compound of the bow compared to the crossbow. So you're getting feet per second more velocity and all. So you can shoot further, faster, and hopefully hit something closer.
Would you say that your muscular coordination is going to be better with the crossbow as well because you aren't using half your strength to keep the arrow drawn?
Yeah, the crossbow definitely is more like a rifle. You're using with the bow. I think that's where the stamina is coming in. If you're going to be using the bow, it's probably going to take some more off your stamina than using the rifle.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Like they were saying with the stamina, they have to adjust it. Well, they're probably going to have to adjust it for certain weapons as well. Because if you're wielding a fire axe all day, you're going to be a lot more tired than wielding a machete.
Yeah.
So,
Oh, yes.
Yeah, I like how they said that the run speed is affected by what weapon you have out and are carrying, so that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
That should also affect the stamina as well, too.
We don't see it as much in PlanetSide 2, but in PlanetSide 1, that was a huge deal. And actually, it really made sidearms kind of useful in PlanetSide 1 to go from having no weapon out to at least having something out quickly. And I could see the same thing happening in H1Z1. Somebody who's really got their choice of equipment, they might only run around with a sidearm in their hand, or just run around with their hands empty and switch to a sidearm when they need it. Or I think there's been talk of trying to have different items in different hands, but the mechanics of that, like they've said, having a torch and something else isn't necessarily going to work because right now the torch and its animation technically count as a two-handed sort of thing.
well, going back to your gear and its weight, back in the old D&D days, you had encumbrance on your characters. So I think they're going to have some kind of encumbrance in H1Z1 where if you're carrying 50 pounds of gear or an 80-pound rucksack like some of the military guys, you drop that pack, you're much faster. You're much more agile. If I'm carrying 40 pounds of gear on my back, I'm not going to be as effective fighting a zombie with all that stuff on my back as I would be, swinging a baseball bat at the head. Take off that extra weight, you're going to be moving faster, swinging harder, and delivering bigger blows. And I'm hoping to see some kind of system incorporated in that. whether it be fighting with a knife or a butcher knife, or the pistol is going to be the easiest thing because it's light, and you can use it at range. Anything like a machete, swinging it at close range, I don't want that encumbrance on my back.
Right.
And hopefully the stamina will play with as we expect the weapon that they'll be equipped with. So even though you're not using your axe and your crowbar and stuff, it's still in your backpack.
Yeah, right.
So,
And that's, I think right now, it's your only limitation is your number of slots in your inventory, and that's how it works without really any encumbrance considerations. But I'm really hoping they do actually add that sort of stuff, because the idea of one person walking around with a backpack full of logs, and their shirt pockets full of logs, and their pants pockets full of logs, and a sack of logs that they're towing along behind them on a little wagon or something. I don't know. That's a damn lot of logs. That's
Yeah, but I think that goes into the fun factor, because if we're carrying around enough logs that we can build a base, I mean, we wouldn't really be moving very fast at all. So,
but you're not. That's the thing, though.
I'm interested in how encumbrance is going to work, because I think there will be some factor, but it can't be all that realistic if we actually are toting around logs.
Yeah.
The one video I watched a couple weeks ago, they were showing, I think it may have been the first week, where he pulled out a shed and made the door for the shed.
Yeah.
You just pull the shed out of your backpack. You have the materials.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Right, that's what I'm saying. So encumbrance can't be all that realistic if we're doing that. But
right.
Or they're going to have an emphasis on small portable storage, and everybody's going to have a little Red Ryder wagon or some sort of little makeshift cart, or everyone's got a shopping cart. Actually, I would love that. I would love it if every single player had like a shot, because I can imagine someone would actually take the duct tape and mount the shotgun or whatever on the front of their cart, so when they need to charge through zombies, and put some spikes on the front, they're just running through, pushing that thing and firing shots when they need to, and just making a mess of things. But definitely, yeah, I could see that being the way that people have to carry stuff around.
I would die from laughing.
I would
I'm
too.
imagining that the cattle trowel in front of the railroad cars and trains are going to now be on pushing carts.
Yes.
That's too silly. And what would the hardcore gamers be thinking? They would be forced to, push around a shopping cart in front of them. I don't think they're going to.
Oh well, no. That's the best part. Is then people rolling up on someone. Hey, you get to go free. Give me your wheels. What? You can keep your cart, you keep your stuff, but for this bullet to not go through your head, those 4 wheels need to be in this pile right there, right now. Then you just have somebody that's like some sort of a crazy wheel tycoon, and if you want to have a cart, well, you know where to go in the southeast corner of the map, where the highway meets the power lines, and there's the big place. You can't miss it. There's all sorts of armed guards, and oh yeah, that's where all the wheels end up that have been stolen from everywhere else in the server.
I have to say, the worst job I saw in the world, I could never do this job. I saw it when I first got to LA, is in Skid Row, there was a person whose job it was to drive around and take the shopping carts back from the homeless people while they were sleeping.
And legally they can't do that anymore.
That's just so sad.
Yeah.
So there was a mention of crossbows, and we know crossbows are supposed to be coming. Is that something we should be able to manufacture? It seems like we should be able to manufacture a crossbow but not a gun, or a crossbow but not a rifle.
Crossbows are pretty simple to make. Simple trigger mechanism for the crossbow, just a pin pushing up the string.
Yeah.
I mean, I've made crossbows as a teenager, simple wood shop. Of course, the teachers confiscated them because we used to shoot them through the walls.
Nice.
But yeah, definitely craftable crossbow. I would say for a rifle and stuff, leave them the very rare. If I would like to make a catapult, if I could.
Oh yeah, hell yeah.
Give me a small catapult that I could launch dead flaming bodies at other people or something. It's one of those things where if there's a physic in the game, let's explore it thoroughly. If you're going to give me a bow, you're going to give me a crossbow. Take those same principles, make a small catapult. Make a what did they call
Trebuchet.
The trebuchet? But there was one with the spear. It would shoot giant bolts.
Ballista.
A ballista.
Yes. Yes. All of those would be
Right.
actually. They would be very effective in these terms. So, a trebuchet, you load a large boulder in that. They're not necessarily the most accurate, but it's the bounces and the collateral damage. That's the big thing. You don't have to hit the wall directly. It can bounce a couple times before it hits the wall. That's a big fucking boulder it's launching. And if that's just rolling through zombies, well, that's all bonus.
Well, there's a guy in the UK that still has the trebuchets, and he's throwing cars half a mile away.
Yeah.
In his fields.
They're-
Whether they're small combat cars to giant vans, he hooks them up and fires them away on his trebuchet.
So there was a metal trebuchet that was featured in a VW commercial maybe, I want to say, almost 10 years ago. My buddy actually was part of some project where they got that trebuchet, got it all the way to Burning Man, loaded it up with like 5,000 Burger King Whoppers or something, and fired off a big barrage of burgers into the center square of one of the camps. So apparently they launched just this massive barrage of food. But yeah, no, trebuchet is I think they're coming back into style, to be perfectly honest.
Well, as Damon and Knight saying, we talked about the corn and the development of the chemical laboratory. If you had a small catapult that you could fill up with Molotov cocktails and fire at a large group of zombies from a distance, I think that would be better than running up there with your axe and trying to take out 10 of them. At least you could take them out with a Molotov cocktail type of thing launched from safety.
Yeah.
Trying to clear out large areas.
Yeah. Pumpkin chuckers, nice. Hey, awake.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah, they had that show, Pumpkin Chuckers.
Recent discovery, University of Iowa, inexpensive method of extracting inositol, sugar-like substance from corn. Yeah, I don't know like how difficult it would be to actually do something like that. It's really simple to ferment corn. It's really, I wouldn't say simple to distill it into drinkable moonshine, but if you're not worried about some of the off products that could potentially kill you, like methanol, and you're just using it for fuel or something you can burn, moonshine is actually super, super easy to make. I mean, you could make a chintzy still with like aluminum foil. I'm not even kidding. All you need is something to have the stuff drip out. It like I said, it wouldn't necessarily be clean. You wouldn't want to drink the stuff, or maybe you would, just not the first runoff that comes from it. But yeah, moonshine is definitely it's not that hard to make. It really isn't. Ale isn't that hard to make either.
It all depends on the state you live in.
Well, that's true, but I'm talking about there's no rules. This is a zombie apocalypse survival sandbox. We're making moonshine. We're making hooch to put in bottles and chuck at stuff.
That's it. So now with the as you're talking about the brewing of your alcohol for fuel, what's the availability of the vehicles? How rare are vehicles going to be in the game?
Rarer as the game goes on, I'd imagine. They're probably going to get blown up left and right and scrapped and salvaged and all of that sort of stuff.
Repair functions on the vehicles. If you find a vehicle, you're going to want that car for as long as you can keep it. So if you're running over zombies or running over players and they're shooting at you, they're going to take out a tire, break a couple windows, maybe hit the radiator. You're going to need to make repairs.
Yeah, you're going to have to repair just to get them functional. So
yeah.
Right.
Cars are a constant maintenance thing. It's an infrastructure of its own to be able to own a car. Otherwise, you've got a car and you've only got it until it breaks down or runs out of fuel. Then you don't have a car anymore. That's pretty much. And yeah, DK, they've actually said all the vehicles are going to be able to run on ethanol, so we'll just be able to make our own, basically, moonshine and run our cars on it just fine. So that'll be really, really helpful, and that's one of the reasons why we'll be able to do the farming and distillation. Okay, so, what was this? How long after the initial apocalypse? Weeks to months after, Cody. It used to be 15 years, but they changed that about a month ago to weeks to months from when things first went down. And it's not widespread across the entire world. It's not entirely pandemic. There's definitely stuff going on all over the world. Some nuke went off in India, and Pakistan claimed foreign aggression. That was just stuff during the ticker of Survivor Radio. That was one of the kind of like really weird, kind of shocking events. Like, wow, everything is really fucked everywhere, isn't it? But that being said, it isn't actually pandemic everywhere. There are still places where it's it hasn't taken over, and that's allegedly where the airdrops and stuff would be coming from, is areas that are still holding out and not infected, and they've actually got the supplies to go drop them here and there all willy-nilly.
So speaking of corn, we heard that they're growing stop signs at the moment, but we'll be farming pretty soon.
Yeah, and I'm really excited for a farming system, because that's actually giving us a reason to establish infrastructure, to actually have a home, to actually have a large compound that you can do something with, because the thing you can do with it is grow corn, distill it. You've got fuel. Having fuel and a reliable place. Well, now you're starting to build up the infrastructure. You can either potentially get generators going and have electricity, or you could have basically your kind of the stables for the cars at this point. You've got your mechanics and your fuel and everything, so that way people that have vehicles that get into this group of yours, you'll be able to keep them maintained and upgraded, and maybe even take in new people into the group because they have a vehicle and need someone to be with. So that's something that should be really interesting. How do we protect crops? The same way you protect everything else.
And he seemed to mention food?
Yeah. Growing food, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You'd be able to do that for the farm too.
Well, yeah, being able to grow corn, being able to grow probably those, was it blueberries or whatever, the wild berries you see around.
Wine,
yes. All sorts of fermented anything. I would imagine if I personally in game came across a market with like a 50-pound bag of C&H sugar, I'm like, oh snap. Or really any brand of sugar. I don't mean to endorse one or the other, but that's usually the cheapest stuff that I end up brewing with when I'm making tepache, or if I'm doing like a Belgian style beer that you use the candy sugar. I just use white sugar. It's the exact same thing. But yeah, you can ferment that stuff real easy, real quick. And with the accelerated day-night system, I could see the characters potentially going from a bag of sugar to a bottle of fuel in 1 or 2 day-night cycles.
Yeah, I don't think farming will be or as time-consuming as waiting weeks for your crops to grow. They're going to have to make it where, like Minecraft, you give it a couple hours, maybe 2 cycles of the day-night thing, and you're going to have a product that you can harvest and start refining any way you see fit.
Except on those servers with the 24-hour real-time.
If they do that.
If they're going to do that, then they're going to be starving to death. Because how long is it going to take corn to fully mature and grow and distill for it?
If they were going to do that, then they would also have to greatly increase the yields you get on those servers relative to other ones.
Oh, yeah. Unless you get those idiots who want to run around with torches and set your cornfields on fire just to grief you.
Well, that's the thing. I wouldn't say it's necessarily that easy to take a healthy plant in its healthiest, most turgid, water-filled state and just light it on fire. It's not that easy. I've seen it in movies sometimes. Some plants are like bushes and stuff maybe, but I don't know.
You've never been in the Pine Barrens. We have forest fires over here, and look, California. I mean, I know they're going through droughts and everything, but you get Florida hit by lightning. They get rain in Florida every day. Those lightning strikes start massive fires through the swamplands.
Right,
So,
but like corn, I just imagine it's mostly water and fiber, and that's not that easy to light on fire by just sticking a torch up to it. Or it reminds me of actually in Afghanistan, some many years ago, the Canadian soldiers who were having trouble with the cannabis fields that insurgents were using. Not only were the plants very thermally absorptive, so you couldn't use thermal optics to see through them, but the plants just wouldn't light on fire because they were full of water. So they tried and tried and tried, and even some of the drier ones they did manage to light on fire. It took them using diesel or something and just straight dousing them to get them going. And then they all got high, which is kind of funny too. But yeah, so that's kind of more what I'm thinking is it's not some types of plants, some types of environments. They might burn real easily. Just forest out there, sure, but a field of like some crops, especially if they're spaced out enough, to light one on fire and expect the rest to light on fire, that's really not to be expected, I would think.
well, that's how they used to clear the land, by fire. So,
Well, but that's clear the land with all the wild growth and brush and everything that's grown there. If it's a very planned field that's being tended to very regularly, there's not as much stuff to even burn there.
I remember if it's when they're looking to burn the stuff, yeah, it's dried out. I know with the sugar canes and stuff down south, the cane fields that they burn down there, they set on intentionally.
Yeah.
They burn rather quickly because it's past the harvesting system. All you have left is the dried out stalks.
Yeah. Oh yeah, and that goes up quick.
But like I say, depending on the type of year, if the corn is how's the irrigation going to work? Are we going to have to water our plants every day? Are they going to dry and wither as we're harvesting or waiting to harvest? I'm sure there's going to be some kind of mechanic there where we have to give it the nutrients to keep it alive, that it might just dry out and wither on you.
Yeah, we've got the weather system, so this has me all thinking about the timing of our attacks on various bases, and
Oh yeah.
whether it's raining and all that stuff is just kind of interesting. I wonder how players will be taking that into effect.
Oh,
when
no.
they
Cody
decide
had
to
a
go
great-
raiding.
Cody had a good idea. Get yourself some guard dogs.
Yeah.
Go out there and find those dogs that are still hungry and take care of them and let them guard your crops for you.
Exactly. And of course they're, not going to be eating the crops. They're wild feral animals. They haven't been eating, corn-based feed for however long. They eat meat. So yeah, it's definitely going to be interesting seeing how we're going to be able to utilize the various different animals. Right now we have deer, we have wolves. We don't have running torches, I mean squirrels. We don't have bears or lions. You like that one, huh? I think I brought that one up last week, running torches. That's kind of what I imagine they're going to be in the game. Someone sees a squirrel, oh, running torch, free distraction, light.
Oh, that's bad.
It is. Well, it's a sandbox game. People are going to do these things. That stuff is going to be happening, but it's the getting back on the subject of like farms and fuel and that sort of stuff, and being able to design your own infrastructure. I mean, just the very basic interspersing every 2 rows of corn, you've got a layer of barbed wire. That alone is going to slow players down. And if they're going to try to steal corn and get a bite to eat late at night, it's dark and it's rainy, and they see a silhouette of a corn stalk, they come towards it, well, they might find themselves, tumbling over barbed wire, getting all tripped up in it. Then it becomes less worthwhile than it used to be, and they know not to go there again. Or to bring wire clippers, which I'm still not sure how that's going to work. Have they even brought up wire trimmers or anything like that at all? I can't think of it.
No, the only things I haven't seen any tools. I haven't seen any tools whatsoever. I mean, even if you're going to repair a car to get it working or anything like that, they're going to have to introduce a tool section.
That's true. We don't. We really don't. You're right. Now that I think about, we have the most basic, a hatchet. That's our tool.
I mean,
Hatchet
if
and a torch.
if you're going to be doing farming and tending of the dirt and all that, you're going to need hose and plows and or at least simple
Shovels,
shovels. You know.
Yeah.
So.
Pitchfork, zombie scarecrows.
Yeah. There's definitely going to be a lot of consideration. Now, I mean, that's getting into farming. That's what I consider more of the advanced, more of like the higher level sort of stuff in H1Z1. I would say that's almost. I'm not sure if that would come necessarily before or after your group would go out and hunt for your vehicles and your firearms and stuff. But definitely in the course of trying to build up a civilization for you and your buddies to survive with, it seems like you're definitely going to need a farm at some point, because just being able to have that sort of sustainable infrastructure, knowing that you can stay within the walls of your territory and still be fed because you've got food growing, is a big deal, because then you can actually set up something where nobody gets to come in, and they only get to come in if they actually can bring enough physical value in goods and other things for it to be worthwhile to let them into the group. And unless they're coming with like 10 assault rifles and enough ammo for all of them, good luck. Well, I got 9 of them and ammo for 8 of them. Nah, too bad. Go away.
I keep going back to Walking Dead, the series on TV, because you find that you have your core group of members who trust each other to a certain extent, but they're very weary of the outsiders. Even when they were in the prison and bringing in the new people, they were pretty untrusting at first, and I think there's still that separation, which I think this game wants to give you, that separation. Okay, I'm going to work with you, we're going to do a little bit of farming until we do the harvest, and then my shovels are going to hit you on the back of the head, and all that food's mine.
Yeah.
And that's the way this game wants to, just from their latest video, it looks like that's what they're going for. We're going to be fighting side by side, but guess what? It's going to be top dog at the end.
Yeah, Double D's still going to shank you with a pocket knife, which is not actually in the game. I asked about it. I wanted to see it at E3. They didn't actually have it ready to show and play with. I was kind of upset because I wanted to shank something with the knife. Oh well.
I'm still expecting our groups to form from our streams.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
The people that we trust are going to be the people that we stream and follow, Twitter, stuff like that. It's not going to be the people that we meet in game.
For you and I, yes, but I think about the hundreds and hundreds of people that either this is their first type of this kind of game or they've played this kind of game before. They just never formed a group, and so they're still coming in solo. So there's going to be for all the people that are involved with the Landmark community that we see hanging out, watching the live streams, reading the forums, reading Reddit, and all of that stuff, the Player Studio has shown me, and the Landmarks of Landmark contest has shown me how many just amazing people out there that we don't know about, let alone all of the less notable people, and it's how many people there really are out there playing the game. So the amount of people that are going to be doing this based on streamers and community groups that they meet that way, or community groups that develop from other games, streaming or otherwise, is it's going to be a small group of what all we're going to be seeing in the game. All the there's going to be a lot of groups just forming right up.
But I just don't. I don't think groups are going to form very easily from just playing the game. I don't think you're going to trust people that way. I think the trust is going to come from outside of the game, not inside of the game.
As you say, with the streams, if I have the 35 to 40 viewers constantly, like with Landmark, we're going after chests, and as soon as your stream finds a chest, people are porting to you left and right, and their friends are coming as well. Their friends might not be watching your stream, but word gets around, we have a good group of people. H1Z1 is going to be the same way. You have 25 people in your stream. All right, guys, let's all band together. Let's meet up. We got our little mob. Let's stick together. their 4 or 5 friends each that are already in the game too might not be watching the stream. Now that little group of 25 turned into a group of 100.
Yeah.
Because they all have 2 or 3 friends they really trust. And no one wants to be a jerk on the stream. Okay, or get a bad rep as a backstabber or head smasher or, hurting the group mentality.
Or they do because they don't care.
Or they do because, well, some streamers might want that. Let's form a mob and go PvP everybody, but whoever's in the streams, work together.
I mean, I definitely have plans to intentionally mess with certain streamers, so I am not even going to talk about. Some folks might know the extent of it, but I haven't told anybody, so I think Dygz might know.
Mm-hmm. But we'll know. But I'm saying, we'll know, and that's the beauty of Twitch and Twitter is you don't want to be an absolute jerk because we won't. You'll get banned or kicked out, or people will stop following you. You can't just be a total jerk on purpose. You have to be a purposeful jerk that people are allowing you to be a jerk, or it's not going to work. That's the beauty, I think, of and that's the other beauty of having devs in our streams and on Twitter too, because you don't want us going to the devs saying, "Hey, do this jerk."
Or then there's also going back to Ultima Online, which is mentioned at the beginning of the show, where the guy goes out and rips some person off, and then Lord British teleports in front of him and tells him, "No, don't do that again." He says, "Okay," and then he goes and does it again, and Lord British teleports in front of him and says, "I told you not to do that. Now I've got to do something about it." He said, "Hey, Richard Garriott, you told us, this is a sandbox to play the game. My character would have told Lord British, I'm totally not going to do it again, and totally done it again, because that's what my character is. So if you're going to take action against me, realize you're kind of wrecking the idea for this sandbox." And at that point he realized, oh crap, this guy is supposed to totally be doing this thing where he's messing with other players, because that's totally intentional.
Hey, you might have a new Wednesday night feature. The Wednesday night raids where you all get together on the stream and just go out ganking people.
Yeah.
And having fun with it. And that's the whole thing about any game, is to have fun. Some people have fun ganking, some people have fun trolling, some people have fun cooperating. But playing the game to have fun, and that's what it's all about.
Streamer hit list. I can see it happening. One point for the kill, or 10 points for the kill, 1 point for an assist, 1 point for spotting them, and 25 points if they say your name afterward. Something like that.
Is that like a little teabag? They get extra points?
Yeah, not sure what the points actually accumulate to or lead to, but yeah, that's however it would work. It's definitely not only being a part of the process, but if they actually called you out for having killed them, that's huge points. That's they know who it is now. Oh man, it's one of those games. I haven't seen too much in depth, but certainly gonna play it. Yeah, it's.
I can see a couple streamers breaking down and crying because they're being ganked over and over.
Well, it comes with the territory. Some streamers' philosophy is if you're not having a good time, then play a different game. I think for me, it's if I keep getting ganked and I know there's no way I'm going to get back to the equipment and whatever I was at however long ago, and I'm having a hard time meeting back up with the group. Hey, that's fine. I've got a hatchet. I've got a torch. I can wreak some havoc. That's no problem. What are the chances? Considering Era was at the open house event when they had the 12-hour live stream. No, the H1Z1 open house. I'm pretty sure Era's going to be playing. I think Era and Tess and all of them, the
O team.
Yeah, pretty much the O team. I'd imagine. There's a lot of groups though. I'm sure Coalition's also going to be playing in all the various kind of streamer groups that all
Geek
the
Domo's going to have a huge following with his fans too.
Yep. There's gonna be a lot of people with a lot of groups, and of all of them, though, I almost feel like Geek Domos is gonna be the funniest one to watch, because I just imagine like shenanigans happening everywhere, like no cohesion, just all sorts of hilarious stuff happening at every turn, and just absolute pure Warner Brothers style chaos. That's kind of what I would be expecting.
I imagine Geek Domo being a little worse than Clegg at H1Z1. Is there a game that he's good at?
Yep. Did I just freeze?
I don't know. That's a good question. Yeah, no, but yeah, the streamer communities. You're right. That is definitely going to be a big part of it, and a big part of actually being able to, once again, establish infrastructure, establish a place in the world, and be able to maintain it and defend it and upgrade it. Sog's another one, I'm sure, with the colony. I think H1Z1 is actually a game he's building up to. So there's gonna be a lot of people, just the people from Landmark that are streamers and the communities that we're gonna be bringing through. It should be really interesting to see what happens and how it goes down.
Yeah, I know the lethality group probably right now. Just the lethality group itself has about 100 people waiting for H1Z1.
Yeah.
They're not all back in Landmark either. They're off playing WildStar and other games.
Yeah.
But we will have about 100 people going in right off. First hour the game starts, we'll be there. And hopefully it's going to be that plus the streamers, plus me streaming, Dephonic streaming, and Jimmy and some other people. Let's all get together and have fun with it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I just still find it interesting to think about how people are going to react to people in game, like people that you don't, strangers in game. Is going to be very interesting interaction.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Because
Hi there. Hi.
Yeah.
I got food here. You want some?
Do I want to do the F1 emote or the F2 emote?
Exactly.
Or the FU emote.
Yeah, that one too.
F1, F2, FU.
Depends if you got a ranged weapon or not. Or, close range weapon. I'd imagine there's got to be some melee weapon that against an undefended opponent with no armor probably is a one-shot kill. I don't know what it's going to be, but I would imagine there's got to be something to kind of give a little, not necessarily give balance so much as that there's this one item that it's so rare but so powerful that if you get one, you're basically going melee for the next little while, because why do anything else? You're bashing heads in.
For long-term survivors, have they mentioned anything about durability of equipment?
They did today, right? Didn't they talk about like the rifle,
briefly.
the gun is gonna lose durability the more you use it?
Yeah, and they initially, the earliest thing that they had said was that the durability of the gun is based on like pretty much the ammo count. Once you're out of ammo, the gun is also kind of broken down or whatever. But I think they realized pretty quickly that wasn't going to work, and was just maybe a temporary description they had for how the system was going to go down. But no, there's definitely plans for durability, for having everything kind of wear down as it's used. You can't just use one ground tamper to set up an entire civilization. You're going to have to build a few of them probably. Of course, just using one of them and building up a large area, I'd imagine the heat map and stamina considerations and all of that, it'd be difficult. Just stamping out one area so you can build seems like it'd be a huge stamina drain. Repair kits for guns, yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Another thing I like that they showed today on the stream was the free look. As you're running away, you'll be able to turn back and look side to side to see are they still following me? Did I get away?
Yeah. And they also said it's going to have clamps to the left and right, so you can't do the head twisting thing they were showing.
No Linda Blair stuff in The Exorcist.
Exactly. But that'll be really helpful, and that's again a feature that I think could even help in planet side too, being able to just kind of look around and see what's coming from whatever angle, and even instead of having to walk all the way around a corner to see what's over there, being able to use a combination of your positioning and your free look to actually kind of peek around a corner would be a really good mechanic, because you're trying to survive. You don't want to be spotted.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, a lot of the games that have the first-person perspective have, like Call of Duty, wherever you can peek over, or juke left, juke right, so you can look under cars, see if something's on the other side, and all that. So I'm sure that prone position is going to be pretty handy when you drop down. You might be able to see, feet on the other side of that truck. I'm not going over there.
That's the one I've always wanted to see somebody do in a shootout in a movie, is go under the car and try to shoot the people's feet out, or try to shoot out like the engine of the other car from below.
Or hack the foot with the hatchet.
Yeah, you never see that sort of stuff. I think that'd be great. Definitely being able to use that, like anywhere where there's a window you can attack through, being able to attack through it definitely makes sense for the range combat. But then I started to think about like really weird and complex and intricate tactical positioning things. Like there's one position where if you've got a curb right next to you, you kind of lay down next to the curb on your back, kind of looking up over it, looking through the optics. It's a very, very specific thing, so to actually do the animation and the rigging to make that work doesn't seem like it'd be in the books, but being able to fight with that kind of level of tactical precision, once again, it's a survival game. You're trying to survive, so being able to give yourself every advantage possible, it really helps, and it really makes sense to give those options to the players.
Well, it's like Wick is saying, he dislikes the durability of the items. So do I, because if I still have that rifle, even though it doesn't have bullets, as they showed in the stream today, it can still be a great discouragement from someone approaching you. If you're pulling out an M16 or a shotgun or whatever it is, they're going to have to think twice.
I don't think if it gets broken that it's going to disappear. If an assault rifle is in a damaged durability state, I would imagine that's less that it's been bent in half, and more that, say, the magazine isn't feeding bullets properly, so they constantly jam, or you've got dirt and grime and obstructions in the barrel that needs to be cleaned out, otherwise rounds might not be projected safely. Or,
right, but I'm just saying the gun itself is a deterrent.
Yeah, the gun itself.
Whether it fires or not. It could be an ornamental piece hanging from the wall or whatever. See somebody with a gun, you're going to think twice. And that's
right.
what it's about. Is he going to shoot me? Can he shoot me?
Yeah. I was actually, when they showed that earlier, I was thinking to myself, well, if you're in the position where you can try to convince the person, be like, hey, I'll give you all of my goods and walk away, but you have to shoot one bullet in the air to prove that you got ammo. If you can't do that, I'm coming with you at the hatchet. I can definitely see that. Yeah, food is going to rot. It's already got mechanics for that. If you put an item out of your inventory, a piece of meat out of your inventory, when you pick up again, there's a good chance it'll be rotten already.
Now, they haven't said anything about crafting small game traps, like rabbit traps or anything like that, have they?
I think they have maybe a little bit. Dygz, do you have some...
Yeah, I thought they mentioned traps. There was a video on that.
Was there with snares?
Wasn't it in one of your videos?
Actually,
one of your videos.
What was it? Oh yeah. I think he was talking about that a little bit, about the idea of small traps. You don't actually necessarily see the creatures in the world, and you might not see them in the cage either, but it's like a cage trap deployable thing. You put it in the world and you come back to it every now and then, see what kind of food you've caught in it.
Yeah. That was in one of your E3 videos, I think.
Yeah, I think you're right. I was trying to remember. It sounds familiar, but I can't put a... Yeah, no, that sounds about right.
And I like what Wick just said. If I had to show you that I had one bullet by firing in the air, I might as well just put it in your skull.
Yeah, oh, I know, but the idea is trying to
Okay.
convince the person to, have to make a decision rather than just doing the easy way out in that situation. Um,
Yeah, I'm not
in-game
gonna just hand
flamethrower.
over my stuff. If you're gonna shoot me and take it anyway, okay.
So a flamethrower. So what would actually your? Do you mean a full-on real deal flamethrower? Or you're talking more like a can of aerosol and a lighter? Chip. Yeah, he'll see it in a second.
Yeah, I'm
Um,
thinking maybe more of a water gun filled with kerosene that you squirt and light.
yeah.
Improv water gun or something. Yeah.
Yeah. A super soaker with gasoline and a Zippo on the end.
There you go.
Yeah.
That's it.
Oh, a real deal one. Nah. Maybe if there's a like a, I don't know, a World War era museum or something nearby, they might have a functional one. Or what was, like, Vietnam the last time they used them or something? I can't remember the last time a flamethrower was actually being used functionally.
One thing I haven't seen, maybe you guys might know, have they mentioned anything about military bases or any type of
Yeah.
bases in game that you're going to be able to discover and explore?
They've talked about it a little bit, that somewhere later down the road that might be one of the things that they add as they expand the territory. And maybe they're even going to have like a police station or a smaller kind of reinforced area in the tougher sections of what's available now. But definitely as we go on. And they also said potentially as a server rule set, they might actually have some types of servers where it is a military base is the spawn point, military equipment spawns there, and all you're doing on that server is going out with the other people and trying to hunt zombies, and it's just a basically arcade mode at that point.
Okay.
I'd love to have that. I would probably play a hell of a lot of that. It seems like it'd be super fun. I love playing. That was actually when I was playing Combat Arms. That was actually the thing I was playing the most, was the zombie mode, because for me it was the mathematical, like, bringing in enough heavy machine guns to have enough ammo to survive every round, and then the tactics of lining up every zombie so I would do a triple headshot as many times as possible. That was kind of my fun with that game. So I could see the kind of arcade mode where you start in a military base as your spawn point being more the place where people are learning the best ways to take care of zombies, and when you're at that end game level infrastructure, the best way to kind of develop tactics and conserve your supplies for maximum effect. So that could be really fun.
It looks like Wick's asking us a question about what do we think about safe zones, like starting areas or barter zones. In this game, I don't think
No.
there should be any safe zones.
Nothing is safe in H1Z1.
And I'm
Yeah.
a Care Bear, and I'm not even up for safe zones. So
There's no safe
I know.
zones. Safe
I
zones?
think you
That
just,
doesn't
I
make
think you just have
sense.
to learn to trust the various groups. You're gonna have to try and build up that trust. I mean, either it'll be again streamer group to streamer group, or in game you're gonna have to
Oh, I know
figure it out.
some of my friends right now when we're playing together. I know we're going to be ganking each other just for shits and giggles.
Yes.
I mean, we're going to have to get that out of our systems, just so we can kill each other a few times and not have
Yeah.
to worry about it. And that's going to happen with everybody, with every group. You're going to be killing a few people here and there just for the shits and giggles. And one person's going to whine a little more than the other. And okay, let's see them whine again.
It'll be really fun when there's a group of bow hunters and you, at a far distance, get an arrow into one of them and make them think one of them shot the other one. So there's this back and forth going on. Hey, you shot? No, I didn't shoot. And then, the chaos of that ensues because you fired an arrow at their group. And now all of those bow hunters are trying to figure out which one of them is the rat in the group. When in fact it's you, just waiting for them to kill each other and then loot whatever's left.
Time to count your arrows, boys.
Yep.
But I
fight
hope
there.
that it will be possible to Yeah, I mean, there won't be actual safe zones. We would have to create
Yeah.
those. You would have to find traders that you trust, and maybe we are capable on some servers of building, the trading spot that everybody knows, everybody has agreed. You know,
One of the biggest things for me in a game like this is the idea of containment. Being able to take over an area, create a perimeter, and know that nothing will spawn inside of that perimeter, knowing that you've sealed off this 1 acre zone, you've cleared it out. There's no wolves, there's no zombies, there's no deer, there's no running torches, there's no bears, there's nothing. It is barren. There's no running around anything. And when you've got it to that point, and you've got eyes on the perimeter at all times, the perimeter stays up at all times, nothing gets through, nothing gets by, that the game itself is actually able to keep things from ever spawning there. That to me is the most important part to being able to establish a safe zone, is being able to have an area larger than just a standard building zone where players can create a perimeter and keep it sealed off from server spawned entities until you catapult a zombie pile. Yeah, I bet you would, Wick. I bet you would.
Well, let's go back to medieval tactics. You're poisoning the well so that
Yep.
other people can't use it.
Yep.
So that's it. You're gonna get over that wall one way or another, either by waiting it out or by tearing it down.
Right.
So,
But players doing that's one thing. Zombies just somehow magically appearing on the other side of the wall, that's no good. That's not fun.
yeah, wolves might be able to dig a hole underneath your fence. Who knows? But
Show me a wolf
zombies.
tunnel. Show me a wolf tunnel, please.
well, a wolf den that they dig down into the dirt.
Never seen a full on like.
You
What's
never
his
saw
name?
a dog dig in the dirt. Come on.
I've
now.
seen dogs dig in the dirt. I've seen them dig under a fence. I've never
Okay.
seen them Bugs Bunny their way to Albuquerque.
Yeah,
Like
they won't
that-
do that, but they might go under a fence.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, I'm talking about specifically like full on earth boring. Like dog's not gonna do that.
Dog's not going to do that, but they might go under a fence.
That will, yeah, and that makes sense. But of course, if it's something where you've got literally eyes on every single section of the perimeter the entire time, there really shouldn't be any way anything can get through. What
Well,
about
and that, and the farming idea. I mean, both of those together has had me wondering about whether or not we will be able to have roles of people who just want to be care bears and farm. Can we get to a point where the base is fairly stable enough that people can just come in and focus on the farming part if they want to? That could be interesting.
If they have the people to stand guard for them or are willing
But
to
that's what I'm
stand
saying.
guard for them,
Yeah.
great. You
Yeah,
know.
that's what I'm saying.
If I'm going to watch your back and I'll protect you while you're farming, just take care of me and feed me. That's all. You know. How long could that relationship last?
Also depends on what else you can make with the stuff that you're farming. So, you could just be coming back for supplies and food and, all that stuff. Just depends. It's just interesting.
I could see if they have certain skill sets in the game where if you want to specialize in agriculture, you might be better at growing stuff than me.
Yeah.
Give you a certain set of skills where I have a certain set of skills for fixing vehicles.
yeah.
So
Right.
you're going to grow it. I'm going to fix it. Someone can make the gas. And
Yeah.
find somebody else to work with.
And right now, it's just based on the recipes and what you can craft is the whole limiting in the progression. There isn't, like I said, the whole James Bond MacGyver. Everybody is as strong and proficient as everybody else in every task. So to actually be better at agriculture than someone else would mean knowing the actual game mechanics, the timing of everything, the specifics, what works, what's the cheapest amount of materials to make fertilizer and that sort of stuff. That's what makes somebody a master of agriculture, not that they've put points in a skill called agriculture.
Right, and that's what I see too, is that it's going to be to me, the professions and the jobs, that's going to all be based on the recipes that you specifically focus on. And some people may choose to just focus on a very narrow range of recipes, and that's what they do. You know.
Yeah. Oh, and Wick, to answer your question, first of all, whenever I would see the commercials for that, I always thought, oh, it's like zombie particle physics. Just seeing them kind of pile on top of each other looked really, really funny and mechanical to me. I don't know that A, the zombies are that smart, B, that will have that level of model collision to actually allow them to do that, C, having the actual ability for them to climb on top of each other like that. I think of all of the... I hate to word it this way, but I can think of all the reasons why not, and very few reasons why. It would take a very specific type of zombie and a lot of them to actually have that feasibly work, I think.
Yeah, we do know there's supposed to be different types.
Yeah.
Some are stronger, some are faster, and I guess it's possible some would love to climb or something like that, but I don't think that would... I can't imagine them climbing over a pile of zombies. Yeah.
I don't think that'll happen.
Yeah.
That's for the movies. That's the DayZ.
If anything, I'm wondering more how people can kind of Spanish Armada the zombies and run between two of them and have them hit each other. That's because zombies, I could see them truly fighting over one another just to get at that fleshy target. That's definitely something, and I could see a bigger, tougher zombie pushing smaller ones out of the way to try to get at something. So that could definitely be another mechanic to it. Not just maybe not necessarily that they all climb or some of them climb, but how they interact with one another, and how having a bunch of zombies in a tight, concentrated space could actually kind of help you with thinning the herd rather than just knowing that you're totally swarmed. Specialized trees. I don't know that they're doing skill trees though, and the reason why they've said they don't want to have that is because they've said they don't want a player to have to go and kill themselves because they've made a choice, they've made a decision that they don't like anymore, and they want to redo it. That's the main reason why they don't have a skill or attribute or progression system right now. The reason, and it sounds like they're pretty much sticking with that.
Yeah, it's not a perpetual death type of thing. It's not like you have to recreate your character every time you die, right? It's just you're out there, you're dead, you get respawned, and you have to start over. That's all.
Yeah, you start with the default equipment, and I suppose you probably could change up your character and their attributes, or not their attributes, but their appearance rather. But yeah, for the most part, you're going to be starting with default equipment with full food, full health, full stamina.
Right, you're not going to lose your name. You're not going to lose your, place in the
recipes.
world or whatever.
Yeah,
the recipes stay with you.
And that's actually kind of a weird... Well, the recipe staying with you is only a temporary thing. They haven't decided whether that's permanent or not.
Well, it might be temporary, but at the moment...
well,
at the moment, we're keeping our recipes.
the decision to do that is still being weighed in on. And I think the for and against right now is everything can be learned from wikis, so why make players go outside the game to look up the information? Or the other end of it could be make players have to learn everything every time. That way they actually have to find the stuff one time before they can even do anything with it. Personally, I think the idea of not having the players have to go outside the game to look up stuff they already know is probably the better way to go. What do you guys think about the subject?
We're already going to be able to figure it out. I mean, it's going to take us a little longer, but like I said, I'm expecting to have a narrow range of recipes. I'm going to know how to do those after a few weeks,
Yeah.
Or where to go to find those recipes, or what you have to kill to find those recipes.
Well, recipes are just the kind of discovery system. You just put items in, try to discover, and you'll find stuff. they, as far as I'm aware, they don't actually have schematics or plans. They could do something like that later on, where you can make a you can build an assault rifle from this kit plus like machined parts, so you can only make one of them from that kit, but you would be able to find something in the world that allows you to make one and make it custom rather than just the civilian version. So you might even be able to put a fire selector or just a full auto version, because the only ones we have right now are the single fire civilian versions. So that's something that'll probably be opened up a little bit more later on.
Okay, see, I thought that one example I used where the guy built the door for the shed, I thought he had to get the recipe before he could build that door, or actually learn a recipe.
Well, he had to discover it by the items that are used to make the door, doing a research thing with them, and then discovering, oh, well, I can make a door with it, and then
Right.
And there's a lot of different ways to make items. There's going to be probably 20 different ways to make a torch. I know there's at least 3 different ways to make a bow. So there's going to be a lot of variation on how you get to the item, and that's going to increase over time, over the course of the game.
Like somebody said earlier, a slingshot would have been a good weapon for them to incorporate.
Yeah.
You know, I think that would be a really great weapon. Rocks as ammo, you know, make a slingshot. So if you could discover how to make a slingshot, you know, from the principles of a bow or something like that. Yeah, like I say, learning a recipe. You're discovering it. That's all. You're discovering what can make what. So,
Right. Geez, now I just think of somebody using an old school sling. Which, I don't know. I've never tried to actually hit something accurately with one, but
Oh, if Daryl Hannah could do it, you could do it.
yeah.
We used to make slings out of rubber bands and hangers. So
No, not slingshots.
Oh, slingshot. You mean a sling?
I mean a sling, like you spin it around and
Oh, right. Okay.
yeah, one of those things. Yeah, like a halfling would use.
David.
I was. Did you ever see Cave of the Clan Bear?
No, I've never heard of
The old,
that.
never heard of it. Okay, I'm dating myself then. Daryl Hannah. was in it.
Yeah, I've never heard of it.
And if you see the movie, she actually taught her tribe how to use the sling because she was the best shot. And as a woman, she wasn't allowed to until she started killing. And I think she actually saved somebody with the sling by killing a bear or something with it. So.
Neat. Yeah, that is, I guess, some piece of history that I am not familiar with. Slingshot to stun an enemy player. Yeah, I mean, it's a rock flying pretty fast, especially if it's kind of a jagged rock. It can do some pretty significant damage. I mean, if you just throw a soda can and it hits somebody in the head, right, it can give them a concussion, crack their skull open. So
Timing and reload might be problematic.
yeah.
Depends on what's See, like zombie, it seems a regular zombie. It seems like that would be a good weapon for a wolf coming at you. Not so much.
If they're coming at you because they're starving, probably not. But if they're kind of poking around looking for, if you're going to be a viable meal or not, you might be able to scare them off with that. You might not even have to hit them to scare it off. I mean, it's kind of a primal thing with animals. When a projectile is being launched at them, they know to run. Any animal, I would say, if it recognizes projectiles being launched their direction, because animals realize, holy crap, this thing is doing something I totally have no answer for. Unless it's big enough, I guess. If it's a bear or like a tiger or something, you're probably fucked anyway.
Yeah, I was gonna say wolves can be pretty vicious, especially when they're pack animal and they
That's
surround
true.
their prey. So.
And we haven't seen a pack yet either. We've only seen the solo. So
That's right.
Maybe that's something they're keeping out just because they know if you run into a wolf pack, you're dead.
Do the wolves attack zombies? That's what
Yes.
I know.
Oh,
Yes.
yes. Every
Free meal.
and
You got
deer.
all the flesh there. So.
Yeah. The only thing that won't attack everything else is deer. That's the only thing. Everything else, it's fair game. Wolves, players, zombies, all attack each other.
Well, I'm really start giving us more information on release dates, but yeah, it's killing me not be able to jump in and start playing like the alpha with Landmark.
Yeah, and just like with Landmark, I mean, Landmark I was able to play it just a few days before it was going live. H1Z1, I've gotten to play it twice now. One was basically the prototype version, I would say, and then the more recent version I played at E3 definitely felt closer to a pre-alpha. So we still have a ways to go. But they've come a long way with it, and that's going back to what I was saying, what we were talking about earlier in the show, that the fact that they've got the infrastructure and the know-how and experience to get the game to where it's at, even in that short of a time, that early access is going to be coming soon, and it's going to be pretty big. Like, it's going to be pretty awesome to play, and even though it's not going to have all of the features, that's totally fine. Everyone's still going to get all up over it. It's going to have tons of people in initially. It might have kind of a slow trickle of people leaving it and waiting to come back like we've seen with Landmark. Or it might just be something that it just starts big and gets bigger and bigger, and, SOE just, won the jackpot with it.
Wick is asking about infection. Have you guys heard about how infections work for survivors?
They've still not got that locked down, from what I understand. From what I understand, if you die, if a zombie had killed you, or if a zombie gets to your corpse within a certain period of time, then your corpse becomes a zombie. Otherwise, if you're killed by a wolf or another player and no zombie gets to your corpse, it just lays there, and then the backpack just lays there. So from what I understand, it's once you're dead, that's when some infectious material has to be administered for a zombie to occur. That might change, but from what I understand, that's kind of where they're going from. And I don't know if that means you can go to a corpse of a player, stick him with a zombie stick, and then you've made Zombie Bob.
Yeah, that's going to be the thing too. If you can weaponize the zombie virus to use against other players, can you kill me once, take my gear, and then kill me again as a zombie? That would be kind of fun, because then I might get my revenge back on you without you knowing.
Yeah, for sure. Playable zombies, it's probably a no, but it could be a maybe. It could be a limited rule set sort of thing. Probably a no, though.
I could see maybe a once-a-year event, let players become zombies and fight other players or something. But
yeah, oh yeah, like a Halloween event. I could see them doing that.
Yeah.
They like doing those kinds of events. Well, hey, before we wrap up here, were there any other subjects you guys want to talk about in the last couple of minutes here?
I think we covered most everything.
Yeah. Went down the list of stuff that I had written down from the video, and pretty much covered that and a lot more. So I want to thank you guys for giving me the information that I didn't have. So thank you.
For sure. Well, that's the point of things, is helping everyone stay informed. Because it's not a competition, it's a collaboration trying to survive in a zombie apocalypse. Or it is a competition because you're a bandit. But either way. So yeah, it has been absolutely awesome. They have not talked about the rule sets yet, so anything is possible. You're right, they haven't really talked about it in too much detail, so anything is possible. They could have an alien set if they wanted to, where I'm not even going to get into that. Alright, so we're going to be wrapping it up then. So thank you all for joining here for Dead Feature Rant. This has been, of course, an H1Z1 broadcast. I am your host, coming at you as I am every week, Legendary Neurotoxin. And the two awesome people you've been joining with me on the screen here is Daddio over on my screen left, and Dygz over on my screen right. So like the information's been scrolling down at the bottom, you can find these two awesome people around in the community. But Daddio, why don't you give a little plug for your channel and what you've been up to?
Yeah, it's Daddio, Twitch TV / Daddio66, and been playing a hell of a lot of Landmark. Unfortunately, the past few patches have affected my streaming because I've been falling through the world and crashing left and right. But now this last patch, I didn't fall through once, so you'll see me a lot more regular streaming Landmarks. Usually early mornings till mid afternoon, so from like 8 9 a.m. Eastern to about 2 p.m. Eastern.
Awesome. Very cool. And Dygz, then, why don't you tell us a little bit about what you're up to during the week and what kind of cool stuff that you're up to in the community?
Nothing cool lately because the last couple of patches I haven't even been able to log in.
Oh, no.
But this last one let me in, so I've finally been going through some caves. I'm hoping to hook up with Void Lester Tsog and maybe do some DE builds, help them out with some builds on Foundation.
Yeah, that would be...
That's what I'd love to do.
Yeah,
even if it's just gathering resources for them.
should be exciting. I'm really excited to see how that's all going to go and how that's all going to play out. Okay, so I'm going to end the show here on a raid, and we're going to be raiding one of the former guests who's been on in the past and will probably be on again at some point in the future, that being Tenma. So put his link there in the chat. We're going to be going over to his channel, saying what's up, giving a raid, and I will see you there. Once again, this has been this has been Dead Feature Rant. I am Legendary Neurotoxin. This has been Daddio and Dygz joining me for this awesome episode, and all you awesome folks in chat. So till next time, I will see you later.